Boys! Hi, I think I'm live. It's the day. Today's the day. The day that I'm doing the trial. The final trial. I think. I think it might be a multi-part trial, but I do think it's the final trial of the game. The duology. God, how long have I been playing this? It's been 84 years. But it all comes down to this. The resolve of Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Final trial. Bringing Judge Jigoku to the stands to testify because I think he's the supervillain that's making my boyfriend Kazuma look guilty. I refuse to accept that my boyfriend is an assassin. But his name is on a list with another known assassin, Asa Shin, and then 2 victims, Tobias Gregson and Dr. Wilson. So there's a lot of shadiness happening. Also, who was Judge Jigoku in correspondence with? There was some suspicious emails going back and forth between Japan and Britain. Judge Jigoku appears to be the recipient on the Japanese end of things, but who was our recipient on the British end? Was it fucking male Strongheart Lord Daddy ship? Probably. I don't fucking know, but let's see. It's November 4th, 9:30 a.m. at the Old Bailey courtroom. Let's just see how this all goes. I'm very nervous. I feel like it's going to be an intense trial, but I'm happy to have you guys here for the road. John Brown, Changeling DJ, let's get into it. God, this man is so, Jesus, prim and proper. Before we begin today, I have a brief announcement. As with the closed trial 10 years ago, some astonishing facts have come to light in these proceedings. The revelation that the well-known Reaper is actually an organization illegally executing its own brand of justice. And the discovery that a respected yard inspector was at its heart until he himself perished in an assassination plot. Well, I say to all members of the judiciary here present on this occasion, that we will stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind these disturbing findings. Counsels, you will undertake this trial with the resolve to pursue the truth to the bitter end. Resolve. Yes, that is the name of this chapter, so it is my intention. Oh, Kazuma. My lord, if I may inquire. The defendant may speak. On what grounds is Kazuma Asogi permitted to continue in his role as prosecutor? Oh, we're just coming out of the gates with shots fired. I mean, you know what? Listen, Kazuma, I love and respect you, and if you need a defense lawyer, I'm here for you. But it's actually a pretty valid question given the circumstances. He has admitted to colluding with the victim in a plot to assassinate an innocent man. He shouldn't be enjoying the privilege of freedom, let alone be leading the prosecution. I submitted a written petition to Lord Strongheart, requesting that judgment of my transgressions be delayed by 1 day. Oh. Is that what we call pretty privilege? You did what? In today's proceedings, I intend to expose everything. My whole life for the last 10 years has all been leading up to this 1 day. God damn it, he's still talking like he's a supervillain. He's not the bad guy. No, you're the love of my life. You're a good man who's just on a misguided path. Kazuma. Whatever the outcome of this trial, I give my word that I will accept whatever punishment is deemed appropriate, however severe. And I suggest you prepare yourself for the same, Reaper. Kazuma's bristling with hostility today. And how is it even, like, how are we postulating that he's an assassin, yet he's casting his own judgment and aspersions on the alleged Reaper for assassinating people? Isn't that like throwing a stone in a glass house? I get the distinct impression we're heading into a very dangerous territory. Maybe that's not the right expression. Maybe it's calling the pot calling the kettle black. Wait, No, I think you guys know the expression I'm trying to get to. I'm an uneducated American. Help me find my way there.
Is that really even Kazuma-sama standing before us?
As an extreme exception to normal practices, I have granted this prosecutor's request. The defense finds this acceptable, I presume. Well, I don't know about that, but I guess I'll go along with it. Yeah, sure, my lord, I've done crazier shit. In that case, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session again. We resume the closed hearing of Barock von Zeeks. The defense is ready, my lord. The prosecution is more than ready. Very well, then. This preamble has taken long enough. Prosecutor Asogi, begin. Alright, lay it on me. As you wish, my lord. The prosecution calls the first witness to the stand. Bring Seishiro Jigoku into the courtroom. Jonathan Jacobo? Seishiro Jigoku! Oh. At last, then. We've reached the final battle. Whoo, boys! Tito TJ, Kuran says, are ya boys ready? He's putting literally everything on the line now in order to get to the truth. I'm ready. I'm pale as a ghost. Come on, Ryunosuke. It's time for that steely resolve, because this is going to test it to the limit. Yeah. God, you look so dapper. It sucks that you're evil. Witness! State your name and occupation for the court. Ha! So it was you who issued this, was it? Your subpoena. I did what was necessary. Ha 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 ha! Well, look at what the young man has become. I didn't think I'd see the day when you'd take that tone with me, I must say. The witness will ensure his responses are pertinent to the questions asked. My name is Seishiro Jigoku as a Supreme Court judge from the Empire of Japan. 16 years ago, this man came to London as a visiting student. 6 years later, he returned to Japan. As well as presiding over the Supreme Court, he is also currently Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. I am, of course, fully aware of Mr. Jigoku and his preeminent roles. Because you guys were co-conspirators? Oh, I'm sorry, is it too early for me to be saying that? I invited him personally to the International Forensic Science Symposium as a representative of his country. Oh, because you were co-conspirators? I hear he also played a key role in the conclusion of the Anglo-Japanese Treaty of Friendship and Navigation. Ha! It was a great honor to be involved in the negotiations. I put my all into that treaty. Judge Jigoku, I gotta ask. Well, I never. Fancy the young murdering student turning up here, of all places. Well, I was acquitted. You were there. You were the one who acquitted me, actually. And now I'm a practicing defense lawyer. I've really risen up to the top. Right. And full of self-importance, like your friend across the courtroom, I see. You came here to London by invitation of the International Forensic Science Symposium. But then, without informing anyone of your plans, you took flight to France. Took flight? I'd have to object to that turn of phrase. You know what I mean. Then explain yourself. What exactly were the circumstances? Well, I was somewhat expecting this, and I'm sorry to say, I decline to comment. What? But you're subpoenaed. Leaving the country prematurely when I was an invited guest may be questionable etiquette, but my decision is unrelated to the case. I can't be bound to testify. Unrelated, you say? I appreciate that a respected police inspector has been killed, for which I offer my condolences. However, being an alien, I'd obviously never met the man. Nor do I know the first thing about him. Objection, I don't know that that's correct or true. Oh, no, I have proof that it's not. I have the list! The list that was in your list! The list that says T. Gregson! which is Tobias, for sure, obviously. As such, I'm in no position to testify. It's as simple as that.
So you would run away from all of this?
I beg your pardon?
This case is more far-reaching than the murder of Inspector Gregson. It has ties to another murder, a case that was tried in Japan almost a year ago now.
A year ago in Japan? The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson, you mean? That's right! And you, Judge Jigoku, are at the heart of both of those cases. The defense has evidence to prove it. Well, Ryunosuke, I see from the look in your eye that you're resolved to carry this through to the very end, too. Damn straight I am. Let's see your evidence, then. What proof do you have that Sashiro Jigoku was involved in— I'm so glad that you asked, because I actually know the answer. It really just popped off into my head. Alright, where's the fuck is that list? The telegram from Japan. This is it. Jonathan Brown. Also, Jigoku is definitely straight. How do I know? Because he wasn't hiding in the closet on the steamship. Yeah. And we know that straight men are evil. So let's throw this.
Take that!
This is a telegram detailing a communication sent between Britain and Japan, approximately 1 year ago. The communication contained 4 names: K. Asogi, A. Shin, T. Gregson, and J. Wilson. What? Oh, did I strike a nerve? You little cunt! Oh, that's harsh language. Where did you get that? In Tokyo? I got it from your office, actually, Judge Jigoku. What? How on earth did you? What's this all about? Why is my name on that list? Oh, you don't know? Wait, this is good. Okay, good. You're innocent. This list of 4 names follows a certain pattern. T. Gregson and J. Wilson are the names of victims. K. Asogi and A. Shin, well, those are the names of alleged assassins. No! A year ago in Tokyo, Dr. John H. Wilson's life was taken in a Western-style restaurant in the capital. The culprit was found to be a visiting student who went by the name of Giselle Brett, but her real name was Asa Shin, a professional killer sent on a mission to kill from Great Britain.
A. Shin and her victim, J. Wilson.
And the murder that just took place here in London was the counterpart to that crime. An assassin sent from Japan, also a visiting student, Kazuma Asogi, whose victim was the British police inspector Tobias Gregson.
K. Asogi and T. Gregson. One assassin from each country to kill a target residing in the other.
What exactly is the defense suggesting? These 2 cases of murder, one that took place in Britain and one that took place in Japan. They were masterminded by a pair of individuals from each country as a form of an assassin exchange. And the telegram the defense has acquired is proof of this international contract to kill. What? I mean, Kazuma seems thrown off by this. The telegram was found in your office, Judge Jigoku. In other words, the mastermind in Japan, it was you! Yeah, stroke that beard. Tell me what you got to say. Judge Jigoku, what's all of this about? And you, Kazuma, you've been lying to me. During yesterday's proceedings, you acknowledged that you'd accepted the assassination mission. But the mark wasn't Judge Jigoku at all. It was T. Gregson, Detective Inspector of Scotland Yard, as shown by the name on the killing contract.
Dave Abler, hi.
Very impressive, Ryunosuke. But actually, I didn't lie. What? The name of the target I was ordered to kill never passed my lips yesterday. The idea that Sashiro Jigoku was the mark came entirely from you. Yeah, that is facts. In fact, I actually do remember this part. He only ever said the mark. He never actually said the man's name. Oh! Well, son of a bitch. That's one of the first lessons I should learn in law school. Deliberately avoiding saying a name. The defense claims these 4 names indicate some sort of international assassin exchange. I'm sure I speak for all present when I say that the very idea seems utterly absurd. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what do you have to say for yourself? What do you have to... Where's this going? His silence only goes to prove his guilt.
There's another very important point that this new development brings to light. There's now a distinct possibility that the scene of the Inspector Gregson's actual murder was in the witness's cabin aboard the SS Grouse.
Judge Jigoku, you have to testify now. To refuse would put you in contempt of court. Ha ha ha! There's no need for quite such a vicious stare, young man. Very well then. As a parting gift to you all, I'll tell you everything I know. He's also wearing gloves, the universal sign of being a supervillain. Oh, so are you. It seems this Japanese gentleman has information that the court must hear. About the alleged assassin exchange and the events of the night of October 31st. Hey, we're getting close to that. Present your formal testimony now. Right, okay. As you wish, my lord. Lay it on me. I'm ready. Witness testimony. Don't go easy on him. The assassin exchange. It's true that Kazuma Asogi was assigned the assassination mission 1 year ago now. The target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. However, in the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. On the evening in question, a member of the crew was on duty outside my cabin at all times. If there had been a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. So clearly I can't be involved. So, you're admitting to conspiring to kill, but your defense is that you didn't successfully kill? What? So you admit it then. As this communication suggests, there really was an assassin exchange arrangement between Britain and Japan. A political endeavor at the highest levels. Not something that I can discuss here.
To use such a worthy practice as foreign study to coerce somebody to commit murder. It's the most appalling thing that I've ever heard.
Appalling? Well, it's easy to judge.
Pardon?
Asogi had a reason for taking his sword to that British inspector, you know. What do you mean? Why do you think he accepted the mission in the first place? Isn't that right, Counsel? Kazuma?
Kazuma-sama?
Judge Jigoku, if you're the mastermind behind this operation in Japan, then tell the court the identity of your co-conspirator in Britain. I'm not obliged to divulge that information. As I said yesterday, I've killed no one. I freely admit that I accepted the mission, but on the night the plan was to be executed, I backed out. In short, this assassin exchange that the defense has identified is unrelated to the events of this case. The crucial point is this. Your police inspector can't have perished aboard that steamship in Dunkirk, because if he'd been shot in the cabin, it's inconceivable that a member of the crew wouldn't have heard it. That's right. Gregson was killed after returning to London, in the room on Fresno Street. And the perpetrator of the crime was the Reaper, Barak von Zeeks. The prosecution's accusation remains unchanged. Fuck! To think that a seemingly innocent foreign exchange program was a facade for such Machiavellian dealings. The word was there. Just got a little tongue-tied. Clearly it's a plot only a government minister and high-ranking judge such as the witness could hope to execute. Well, I seem to recall that it was someone on the British side who controlled everything. Be that as it may, it is not the place of this court to pursue this villainous assassin exchange plot. We are concerned only with the tangible events pertaining to the murder of Inspector Gregson. Oh, isn't that convenient? Because you're the co-conspirator, I think. Is the defense clear on that point, counsel? Yeah, sure. Yeah, my lord. I'll keep that in mind as I cross-examine the witness. Alright, so how in the hell do I disprove his statement? I know what we're... So we have to attack something... This is pretty straightforward, actually. Well, actually, maybe I should still press everything because I want details. The statement that's problematic that I have to find fault with is very obviously... if there'd been a shot fire, the crewman would have heard it. I'm going to have to find a way to disprove that, for sure. But before we get to that... Can I pull you for any more details about what the fuck was happening here? I know he's gonna be tight-lipped. He doesn't want to talk about it, but I can at least try. A year ago, when Kazuma was still in Japan then. Correct. It was at the examination center for applicants for the study tour that I approached it. I'll never forget it. I remember exactly what you said. You just came out and asked me forthright if I'd consider traveling to Britain on an assassination mission. That's bold.
Surely that's not correct.
I thought it was a joke at first, of course. But then, it was made clear to me that if I didn't accept, I wouldn't be considered for the study tour.
Kazuma! You agreed to it just for that? I mean, look, I know how much you wanted to study in England, but... Assassination? We could have figured something out together, as lovers. We could have done porn, worked on the streets, sold some cheeks. We could have gotten there.
The Empire of Japan had accepted a proposal from the British Empire at the time. An agreement to send a student from each country to the others to deepen cultural understanding and friendship. Oh, you guys were real bad at that. But behind the scenes, the chosen students were to be given assassination missions. I had no choice but to accept the proposal that originated from my British counterpart.
Why? Why didn't you expose the plot right there and then?
Britain acknowledges no part in these alleged misbegotten dealings. I advise you not to make spurious allegations, Foreign Minister Chikoku. As a witness, I'm bound to tell the truth, my lord. There's some tension between these two, probably because they're co-conspirators. Anyway, I picked Asogi and explained the details of the plan to him. Target was Inspector T. Gregson. That was a condition of the British study tour. Okay.
Why? Why did you pick Kazuma as the assassin?
He was the most capable of all the applicants. And in addition, I knew his desire to travel to Britain was quite strong. In fact, it was almost more than a desire. It was his whole purpose in life.
I was his purpose in life, actually.
As his boyfriend, I can also certainly attest that his second purpose in life was getting to Britain, though. The way he threw himself into his studies, the way he pursued becoming qualified as a lawyer, it was all ultimately for that one single goal of being accepted on a study tour to Britain.
And of course, we know the reason behind that. He was determined to find out for himself the truth about his father, Genshin Asogi.
There's nothing I wouldn't have done to get here. Be that agreeing to assume the role of an assassin, or betraying people's trust. Well, you certainly did a fine job of betraying mine, Asogi. Somehow I don't feel sorry for you. But why was Inspector Gregson the target? I have no idea. Those were the orders from Britain. I was in no position to question them. You have no idea? Really? I find that quite hard to believe. Oh, do you?
Judge Jigoku was once a visiting student here in Britain himself, of course. Perhaps he has some connection with Inspector Gregson from that time.
The defense really ought to catch up. Catch up with what? With the fact that the assassin exchange has absolutely nothing to do with the case under scrutiny here. Yes, I've already admitted to recruiting Asogi. In the end, something happened that meant the young man was unable to carry out his mission. That something being this. The crew member... Okay, so now we're, like, getting back to this. Let me press this and then figure out where I can go from here. The crewman who was standing directly outside your cabin door, you mean? That's right. A muscular man with a permanent grim expression on his face. He didn't once move from that spot. To be honest, I thought he was a miserable fellow. But as it happens, he's a vital witness now. So, can I call him to the stand to testify? There's no doubt that Gregson was killed by a gunshot, and it's inconceivable that a crewman standing just outside the cabin door wouldn't have heard that.
But wait! What about the ship's enormous steam engines? The noise of them, it could have drowned out the sound of the gun being fired.
Sadly, young judicial assistant, that won't wash.
Oh.
You will recall that my cabin was in the first class area of the ship, which is also, of course, the quietest. Don't imagine for a moment that it's anything like the steerage where judicial assistants go. Okay. Throw that poverty right back in my face.
I didn't mean.
But a hole like that made by a bullet was found in your cabin, Judge Jigoku. That's compelling evidence that a gun was fired in there. What's that? A bullet hole? Oh yes, you're talking about what the detective uncovered in the wall yesterday, I presume. That was obviously a rotten panel eaten out by a woodworm. No doubt he didn't find an actual bullet. A woodworm?! Oh, this is getting ridiculous. That's the hole in this argument? Sadly, I was unable to arrange for the crewman to be brought back to Britain with me, but obviously, if a gun had been fired in my cabin on the night in question, as the defense implies, I would have been arrested on the spot, and would never have made it to Britain in the first place. But he was hiding you. You were hidden, you paid him off. Very true, the witness's logic is sound. Objection! Since no gunshot was heard from the witness's cabin on the night in question, we must assume that the witness is telling the truth. Ha! Ha! I'm glad you've seen sense, my lord. I don't buy that for a second. I know Kazuma's already admitted to taking on this incredible assassination plot, but even so, hearing it confirmed by somebody else is still a real shock.
It's unforgivable! Using Kazuma-sama's feelings to manipulate him into agreeing to such a despicable plan!
Yeah, but Kazuma shouldn't have done that. I feel like Kazuma manipulated Judge Jigoku too. He did completely double-cross him after all.
Oh dear. It's hard not to see that as a stroke of brilliance on Kazuma-sama's part.
One way or another, though, Gregson did end up dead. I really think that the murder must have happened aboard the steamship.
So you mean?
Judge Jigoku has got to be lying.
I know I shouldn't really let my emotions cloud my judgment. But you must destroy him, Mr. Naruhodo.
Girl, I'm working on it. Okay, so now I think it's time to look at evidence. Can I disprove that he wouldn't have heard the gunshot? How? A small machine part that Sholmes found in Judge Jigoku's cabin. Do you think there's maybe a bullet lodged in here anywhere? Hello? Is there a bullet in here, maybe? You see these little things all over the place, don't you? It's the part on top of a pocket watch that you twist to set the time, isn't it? Oh, I have a pocket watch.
It's called the crown, I believe. A watch would be quite useless without one.
The crown? Like what sits on top of a monarch's head? That's a very grand name for such a tiny part. But actually...
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo?
If this is a crown, I have a feeling that I've seen a monarch around here somewhere with a very bare head.
If by monarch you mean pocket watch, I'm quite sure I know what you mean.
Yes. Okay, so that means that this, and this was found in Judge Jigoku's cabin, which is connected to this, Inspector Gregson's pocket watch that he wounds without fail every single day. Having wound it up, it's started ticking again. So, a couple of details I remember about the pocket watch. It was assumed broken, but it wasn't broken, it just hadn't been wound since the time that he had been died. And it's now, because this is kept separate from the winding key. So this is where the little policeman figurine's key goes to wind the watch. Winding it up every single day for 10 years without fail.
Yes, it was obviously a thing of great importance to the inspector.
Or a reminder of the past. Oh, no, that's the key. Okay, this is where the crown goes. The crown goes on top. I'm sorry. Literally what you just said. What do you think, Miss Susato?
I feel sure I know exactly what will fit here.
Really? I was just thinking the same thing. We're about to see that little round component.
That little round component's gotta be a part of Inspector Gregson's broken pocket watch.
Yes. So, how does this help us? I mean, it puts Gregson in Judge Jigoku's room.
A perfect fit!
I knew it. All right. Perhaps you knew it.
I'll make note of this new information at once.
A small machine part that Mr. Sholmes found in Judge Jigoku's cabin on the SS Grouse. It's now clear that it's the missing crown of Inspector Gregson's pocket watch. This is all good. Except, how does that help me in terms of the bullet? Can we talk about this glass also? Glass is cracked really bad. Now they're just talking about repairing the glass. Okay, nothing too crazy there. I don't know how that helps us with this particular statement. Let me press these other statements. Maybe he'll say something more that I can work with. I presume you're referring to the incident that occurred during Kazuma's passage to Britain in January. The awful tragedy that took place on the steamship. Word arrived at the ministry some 2 weeks after the ship's departure from our shores. The visiting student had been killed, but his body had somehow gone missing in Hong Kong. The news was wired to me from a detective I'd placed on the ship to accompany the assassin. Obviously, Kazuma didn't actually die, but he did lose his memory, including all details about his special mission. Or was that a lie too? I don't know anything anymore. Did you not consider dispatching another assassin at that point? That wasn't possible, simply because that black-clad young student over there had already put himself forward as Asogi's replacement. Whoops. And there was no way to stop him from reaching Britain. My bad. Just me putting an end to assassination plots. My hands were completely tied.
So Mr. Sholmes' strategy worked perfectly!
He predicted everything that would happen. Months later, my memory returned. But I'd never intended to go through with the assassination mission anyway. So you were playing with me right from the outset, were you? Is that it? I mean, dude, let's be so fucking for real. What did you expect? You just went up to a boy who wanted to go to Britain, and you were like, I can get you to Britain if you'll kill somebody for me. And then, like, for sure, he could just say, like, oh, yeah, bro, I'll totally do that. Then go to Britain and totally not do that. Like, how were you planning on, like, making him follow through? I'd sooner be guilty of that crime than of taking someone else's life. I was prepared to do whatever I had to in order to get myself here to Britain. Yeah, so Kazuma's not a real assassin. He's just, like, an agent of chaos. The line of questioning has gone on long enough. Yeah, I feel the same way. All the court should be concerned about is the testimony given by the witness. Are details relating to his relationship with Inspector Gregson and the victim's murder. In that case, as I've already made perfectly clear, I had no connection to the man or his death. And you have some means of substantiating this plea. A member of the crew was outside of my cabin at all times. Right. Yeah. Outside your cabin in the first-class area of the SS Grouse, you mean? Yes, that's quite right. Not least because there was a murder of a student passenger earlier in the year, I imagine. The liner operators have taken to posting a crewman outside every first-class cabin door. I can confirm the presence of crewmen guards myself. What do you mean? Well, because I accompanied Inspector Gregson to Dunkirk that night. I witnessed it with my own eyes. There was a well-built crewman standing guard directly in front of the door to the witness's cabin. Well-built. Did you guys see how Kazuma totally checked out his body and totally looked at his midriff and his V-line and his cum gutters? Yes, well-built indeed. At that particular time, of course, I had gone to the ship's dining room for dinner. The inspector and I asked the crewman to allow us into the cabin while he waited for Judge Jigoku's return. I suppose Inspector Gregson was there in his capacity as the Reaper. He was intending to take the witness's life. Exactly. As I've said numerous times now, I had no intention of killing anyone. So the crewman let 2 potential assassins into the cabin he was supposed to be guarding? Not exactly the most convincing of stories, or centuries really. In truth, those were my thoughts too. But anyway, I stayed to talk with Inspector Gregson for a short while, and while I left him there, and made way off the steamship alone. Was the guard still at the door when you went? Yes. He glared at me as I walked past. You see, that proves it. Alright, how do I... If there was a shot fired, the crewman would have heard it. How do I disprove that? Evacuation drill itinerary. A notice about a practice evacuation to be carried out by the crew of the SS Grouse the night before the ship arrived in Dover. This was found in Judge Chigoku's cabin. Following departure from the port of Dunkirk, all crew members are required to assemble on the main deck at 10 o'clock p.m. in order to review evacuation procedures.
Well, son of a bitch, maybe if you just fucking read the evidence that's sitting in your pocket, Georgica, you would have known exactly what you need.
Objection.
Objection.
Turns out I had a note that was super convenient the whole time that I've just been wiping my ass cheeks with, but now that I'm all done, here, smell it for me. As the court has heard, there was a crewman posted outside Judge Jigoku's cabin. However, we can be sure that contrary to the witness's claim, the guard wasn't there at all times. What? I have here a notice. A notice of a particular event that was scheduled to take place aboard the steamship on the 31st. What? Where did you get that? Dude, we looked through your room. Have you not been paying attention? It's evidence gathered by Mr. Herlock Sholmes. You were acquainted yesterday, if you remember. Herlock Sholmes. Again. Yep, that's the one. Anyways, according to this itinerary, after leaving the port of Dunkirk at exactly 10 p.m., all crewmen of the SS Grouse were to gather on deck for an evacuation drill. All crewmen were away from their posts. And during that 20-minute interval, of course, any gunshots emanating from your cabin would have been heard by no one. In summary, Judge Jigoku, you had ample opportunity to commit the crime. Ugh! Dad,
Objection.
you look so good. Oh. A 20-minute window of opportunity? That's an excellent find, Ryunosuke. But it amounts to nothing. What? I am trying to help you here. Why? Because the witness clearly stated in his testimony that no incident occurred in his cabin. Unless you have some type of decisive evidence that can show his testimony to be false. Your accusation is nothing more than conjecture. Very true. Well, counsel. I might actually just have that. How do you guys feel about pocket watches? Inspector Gregson was killed in Judge Jigoku's cabin that night, and I'm certain of it. Because the defense has the evidence to prove it. You will present the evidence for the defense at once, counsel. What proof do you have that the victim's life was taken in Judge Jigoku's cabin on the 31st? Well, do I present just the small component on its own? Yes, I think I do.
Take that!
Judge Jigoku, this was found in your cabin yesterday. What is that? The crown of a pocket watch? A pocket watch? A pocket watch. And, if you'll kindly observe, the victim's pocket watch, which we know he treasured, it's missing precisely that part. It can't be. Moreover, this crown is a perfect fit on the spindle protruding from the victim's watch. Now, the fact that this was retrieved from Judge Jigoku's cabin tells us that the victim's watch almost certainly broke there. Grr. In other words, the victim was killed on the 31st during the 20-minute evacuation drill. In the cabin occupied by you, Judge Jigoku. What you got to say to that, boy? Well, You're razor sharp, aren't you, you young murderer? Acquitted, actually, by you. Not a murder. Let's calm down. Expertly maneuvered, Ryunosuke. Oh my god, he's so proud of me. Yes, what? Thank you. And your argument sounds entirely plausible. At first. Oh, fuck, no, he's gonna rip me a new asshole. Shit. But rather like this pocket watch, it's full of cracks. What about my crack? Huh? And I believe Judge Chikoku feels the same way. Why are you so hell-bent on helping him? I was wrong to acquit you in the earlier year. Excuse me? If I'd known that it would result in anyone having to listen to this drivel, I would have declared you guilty just to spare the world of your ridiculous bombast. Can we get that on the record? I would like the record to say that, I want documentation that he would purposefully find somebody guilty of a crime that they didn't commit to shut them up. I think that's treasonous, or contempt of court. I think it's something that judges aren't allowed to do, actually. I think it's clear, but the witness will have to give further testimony. When you hear what actually happened in my cabin that night, you'll notice the pitfall into which you've stumbled. Prior to your renewed testimony, I would like to clarify one point. The fact that this part of the victim's watch was discovered in your cabin means that you acknowledge he was there, I presume. Yes, I do. Very well then. You may proceed to give your formal testimony. About what exactly happened in your cabin aboard the ship on the evening of October 31st. Of course. As a man of the law, I have no intention of obstructing justice.
He just said he would have obstructed justice purposefully because he doesn't like me.
The events in the cabin. All right, fine. Throw it at me. I'll throw it right back at you. I got no problem. I had a guest waiting for me when I returned to my cabin after finishing my evening meal in the dining room. When I walked through the door, a mustachioed Englishman was there, foolishly waving a gun at me. I soon took care of him with a what? Is that like a Susato? A Susato toss down? An Ippon Sioi? Oh wow, there's a picture and everything. It literally means one arm over the back throw. Oh, do you guys want to see what it looks like? I wonder if I can get a picture. Okay, let me show you what he did actually. Save image. For sure. Yeah, no, this is very important. It's an educational moment for all of us. Oh, also, how do I pronounce it? Can I hear it?
Ippon Sioi Nage.
Ippon Sioi Nage. Okay. Sorry, this is all very important. Well, to me at least. Maybe to nobody else. Add an image. Add one for sure. Don't accidentally upload porn. That'll get me in trouble. This? Yes. Yes! Do you see it? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That's the throw. Whilst you take a moment to study it, I'm going to turn up the air because it is getting hot in here. My gosh. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, I'm so glad you guys looked at this image. Fantastic. All right, now I'm gonna get rid of it and we will move on. I'm ready. Okay, so you threw him. He couldn't wait to run away after that. So you're telling me... Listen, I don't mean to call bullshit on you, but you're just the cool anime guy where man has gun pointed at you and you're like, let me grab you and do a one-armed throw over. Listen, I don't care how, like... That's a gun, my guy! Okay. I mean, maybe. I imagine his watch was broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. The inspector was clearly killed, having returned to Britain because his body was found in London. Or you just moved the body. Ipponsioi. Ipponsioi. It's a common jiu-jitsu martial arts technique in my country. I was careful not to use too much force, but the man obviously landed too heavily for his watch to take. So, Ryunosuke Naruhodo, I imagine you can see the flaw in your logic now, can't you? No, I think he's lying. The fact that the pocket watch is broken in the witness's cabin in no way proves that the victim's murder took place in there. Oh, well, give me another round to come up with some more bullshit evidence. I've no doubt the inspector intended to kill me, but he didn't manage to pull the trigger. Oh, then where did that bullet hole... Oh, no, he's still telling me that the bullet hole was a wormhole. Fucking Christ. Yes, because he was merely the tactician, not the Reaper's hand of death. Well, the testimony appears to make perfect sense as far as I can tell. I disagree. Let me express my deep gratitude for your understanding, my lord. But if this testimony holds, Judge Jigoku is going to be deemed to have had no involvement in the case. Well, counsel, I really see no reason for wasting precious court time here on a cross-examination. Think. This would be a great time for one of those brain blasts. I'm sorry, my lord. The defense has a right to cross-examine, and I don't intend to squander that. You're an embarrassment to your countrymen, not knowing when you're beaten. In that case, proceed, Mr. Naruhodo. Thank you. Unicorn Daddy. Alright, cross-examine him. Show no mercy. The events in the cabin. Had a guest waiting for me after I returned to the cabin after finishing my meal. Alright, well, the guest is Tobias Gregson, then, I presume. We can circle back to that one. Not super concerned. Foolishly waving a gun at me. Here's where I start wanting more details. Obviously, you're talking about Inspector Gregson, yes? Yes. Though at the time, I didn't know the man's name. And there was no time for introductions. I valued my life over manners. By which you mean that the inspector was there to assassinate you, I suppose? Well, that was certainly the impression given by the gun pointing in my direction. But I've never seen the muzzle of a revolver shake about so much in all my life. Anyone would think that the man had never shot somebody before. Believe it or not, most of us haven't. Anyway, there was no time to call for the help of the crewman at the door, so I dealt with the man myself. Did you? Took care of him with your own little jujitsu throw. He couldn't run away after that.
Hold it!
Am I allowed to call bullshit? Thank you, Ryunosuke. Even though the man had a gun? That's quite bold of you, don't you think? Ha ha ha! My Ipponsioi, fuck, I already forgot how to pronounce it. Guys, somebody throw me a pronunciation in the chat. My jujitsu is far faster than a bullet, I can assure you. No. In anime logic, maybe, because in anime, like, you know, the whole world stops for the main protagonist to do whatever the fuck he wants to do. But, like, no. I'm an American. I've learned through many a tragedies that bullets are faster than any jujitsu move you might possibly have. But surely all that commotion would have caused the crewman to come in, wouldn't it? Well, yes, of course. He burst in immediately without knocking. The inspector hurled himself at the stocky fellow and just managed to slip past him to make his escape. The outstanding guard does it again. Is nobody else being like, hey, this whole story sounds like fucking bullshit, and it gets more ridiculous the more we go? Ipponsioi. My Ipponsioi. Thank you, Changeling DJ. Luckily, there aren't many situations I can't get out of using a quick Iponcier throw. I imagine his watch is broken when I threw him over my shoulder. It has nothing to do with his murder. Press that. The crown snapped off and the glass covering the face of the watch was cracked. Preferable to the man's head being pulled off or his spine cracking, wouldn't you say? Not that the man was spared for long. A bullet to the chest soon saw to that. But the point is, the broken pocket watch doesn't prove that a murder took place. Absolutely not. All the watch proves is the power of my jujitsu throw. Whatever you say, it doesn't quite ring true that no shot was fired in that cabin. Because there was an obvious bullet hole in the wall. Ha ha ha! What are you talking about? What? That's what the star of your lowbrow detective stories told you, is it? Well, I don't care for such fiction. Oh? Haven't you worked it out yet, you little stripling? No murder took place in my cabin. The inspector was clearly killed having returned to Britain. This might be the statement that I can fuck him up on, but let me press first. There's no evidence that proves the victim ever returned to London alive. Just take a moment to think that idea of yours through now, stripling. What's a stripling? What? If the inspector was killed on the steamship in France, how on earth could he have got back to Britain? On a boat! When people die, their bodies remain at that same spot. It's a devil of a thing. Well, obviously the culprit smuggled the body. How? Carrying a corpse off a ship in your arms would raise quite a few eyebrows at least, don't you think? You could carry them in your luggage. Well, yeah, I'm not suggesting you carried it in your arms. All passenger luggage is inspected when it is unloaded from arriving vessels. Oh. How thoroughly, though? And I would like to think that the border police would query the corpse of an English gentleman as hand luggage. If the murder had taken place aboard the ship, you would imagine the body would have been disposed of at sea. There would be no sense in risking being caught by attempting to transport the body back to Britain. That is a little weird. Fuck. That argument makes a lot of sense. Ugh. Well, that's killed that idea then. But perhaps not. Oh, thank God, Susato-san. What you got for me? Miss Susato?
We've heard that the first-class passengers were under constant scrutiny by the crewmen posted to guard them, which would mean that the culprit had no opportunity to dispose of the body at the sea.
Aha! That's why I have my bullshit detector. You almost tricked me with your false logic. That's right. That's very true. So transporting the body to Britain may have been the only viable alternative. Dear me, you're really quite new to this, aren't you?
Excuse me, I have like a perfect win record, I think.
I thought I'd been perfectly clear, but it seems I'm going to have to explain it in words you can understand. I think I ought to alter my testimony with your consent, of course, my lord.
Oh, thank God. He's altering the testimony, aka he might fuck up here.
There's no possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain.
Well, if you're saying that, I disagree. But how do I disagree? Iris's lucky charm, Clint's autopsy report, the passport, Gregson's trunk. I feel like this is gonna come into play, but I don't know how to bring it into... Like, can I just say you could have used Gregson's trunk? But, like, then what about the inspectors, the people inspecting things, and that nonsense? I don't... Let me press this and see what Ryunosuke says. There's an idea.
Think about it, stripling. All passengers and crew disembarked at the same time and passed through the same checks at the border. The symposium guests were then driven straight to the hotel in carriages organized by the ministry.
And we met you as soon as you arrived at the hotel.
So you did. Well then, remind me. Did I have a corpse over my shoulder at the time? Can I get a flashback, please? Well, no, you didn't, but... So we're in agreement then. I couldn't possibly have brought the inspector's body back to Britain. Can I get a flashback, please? Wasn't... he... Didn't he have luggage? I might be having a false memory because I'm suspicious of him. Didn't he have to, like, hunt down a bellboy or something to help him move something? Maybe I'm making all the... Fuck. I want a flashback! Unless, of course, they've developed some clever device these days to instantly move things from A to B. Well, funny you should say that, given the cases I've worked on.
Well, Professor Hairbrain's invention didn't actually work, if you remember, Mr. Naruhodo.
Yeah, of course I remember. I was just making a joke. The defense has become unusually quiet, I notice. Yes, because there's really nothing more to say. Well, I don't know about that. So that's his story.
Well, I suppose if you think about it, whenever you drop a teacup in the office and it breaks, we don't say Mr. Naruhodo must have been murdered there, do we?
Well, no. Is that a veiled threat about what would happen to me if I break another teacup?
And the fact is, Inspector Gregson's body was found in the little room on Fresno Street. If he really was killed in Judge Chikoku's cabin.
The body would have to have been moved somehow, obviously, for sure. Transporting a dead body over a country border, it would be impossible for the majority of people. Oh, okay. Here's a question. The trunk is Inspector Gregson's trunk. Do you think do you think his trunk would be able to be moved more freely because, like, he's not a common person, he's a detective? There must have been some special circumstances that made it possible for the culprits then.
That could be a vital realization, I think, Mr. Naruhodo.
Okay, that might be what I need. Okay, so let me go back to that statement. No possible way I could have transported the victim's corpse back to Britain. Unless... Unless what? What did this thing say again? Steamship ticket, the SS Grouse, first class cabin. Departure, November 1st arrival. The boat Professor Mikatoba took. Uh-huh. I think it called at Dunkirk for the north coast of France the night before finally arriving in Dover. I think it's been almost a year. It seems a shame not to keep your ticket as a memento of your trip, wouldn't you think? Yeah, I agree. Keep it in my diary, keep it in my wallet. How strange, where could it have gone? Okay. I don't think we're getting anything super special out of this. Dismissal notice, the harsh punishment, frame photograph, revolver, red hairpiece, policeman figure, candle, Gregson's photo, autopsy report, crime scene floor plan, notice board, Venus firecracker, photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson, inspector's identification, commemorative photograph, a photograph taken in the foyer of the Great Waterloo Hotel the morning that Professor Mitochondria and Judge Shigoku arrived at the symposium. What's this? Is this Gregson's trunk? Wait a damn minute. Well, if I angle it like this, and I angle it like this, and I angle it... Oh my god, I'm getting fucking flashbacks to the Blue Badger puzzle. Yeah, there's the little cross, and then there's the little hatchet, and then we look at this, and there's... Well, maybe it looks like the back of it. Is that patterning on... Well... No. Well, can I zoom? I don't think it's the same. Unless it's the underneath of it? Maybe? Oh, no, for sure not. The hinge of it? I mean, he does have a big box. That much is true, for sure. A big box that he could have hidden a body in. But we're gonna speculate that his luggage was already... They're telling me that his luggage would have been gone through. Unless maybe his luggage wouldn't have been gone through because he's, like, super special. Maybe. Possibly. I might throw it out there and see what happens.
Objection!
There's no possible way you could have moved Inspector Gregson's body. That's what you're telling me. Now, I would say the opposite is true. And what's that supposed to mean? Well, far from being impossible for you to do. The transporting of Inspector Gregson's body back to Britain is something that only you could do. What are you talking about, Ryunosuke? As well as being a judge, Mr. Jigoku is also Japan's Minister of Foreign Affairs. Which means he's exempt from having his luggage searched when he enters the country. Was that fact detailed to us and I just forgot it? It's quite possible it was. Listen, it's been a while since we met him at that fucking Waterloo hotel. We learned that when we first met you upon your arrival in London. Oh, yeah, for sure it was mentioned. Okay. There's the flashback I've been looking for. Well, all those passport checks and luggage searches at the border took rather a lot of time. I must say I'm very envious of your ministerial status. You didn't have to go through any of that, did you? It was right there in front of our fucking faces. I feel like I already knew he was a supervillain back then, though. Okay. I presume you recall this, Judge Jigoku? It's a photograph that we took in the foyer of the hotel to mark the occasion. As the court will note, you have with you your large travel trunk. Large enough, in fact, to have a corpse inside of it.
Mr. Naruhodo! Surely you're not suggesting...
Susato-san, I'm doing my thing here. I'm afraid I am. 3 days ago, when we were chatting innocently with the new arrivals from Japan in the hotel, the body of Inspector Gregson was just meters away from us, inside Judge Jigoku's trunk. Order in my court! I'm skeptical, counsel, that a grown man's body could fit inside even the largest travel trunk. Skeptical, my bad. When you're dead, you can contort it any way you want. Oh, of course it could. Because I happen to know that the witness himself was already inside of his trunk. Yeah, that too. And verifying that would be extremely simple, wouldn't it, Judge Jigoku?
But inside of his trunk? Oh my god, that's horrifying.
And after we'd spoken with you at the Great Waterloo Hotel, you had the opportunity to visit the apparent scene on Fresno Street, taking your trunk with you in a cab to deposit the inspector's body. I don't have to listen to this nonsense. Dr. Gori, the coroner who examined the body, she confirmed the possibility. She's acknowledged that there are signs that steps may have been taken to disguise the true time of death. The onset of the body's decomposition could have been delayed by storing it in a refrigerator. Counsel, as I remember explaining yesterday, refrigerators of the requisite size are few and far between. Yeah, but you know what has them? I'm sure they are, but there's one place where they're certainly found, and that's on large ocean liners. Such ships are equipped with electrically refrigerated cold rooms to keep food fresh on their long sea voyages. And the SS Grouse is no exception to that with all their first-class cabins. Professor Mitochondria told me about it only yesterday. Well, Judge Jigoku? However much you prolong this debate, you can't eliminate the truth. All the evidence points to you being the killer. Ha ha ha! Well, this is all very heartening. Am I winning? I can see that it was a wise move letting Asogi and you embark on this study tour. What are you talking about now? Logical reasoning, of course. All court proceedings will be built on logical reasoning in the new century. And I can see that you've both laid firm foundations for that already.
Judge Shikoku, please, stop diverting attention away from the issue at hand. The defense has made an accusation against you. How do you respond?
Respond? There's really no need for me to respond, is there?
Why ever not?
Because before you can even begin to answer the question of when the victim was killed, You must first establish one key fact. Where was the victim killed? It's quite logical. The actual scene of the crime. The prosecution's stance is unaltered. The killing took place on Fresno Street when the gunshot was heard. Right. No. What? As the accused, Barrick von Zeke shot the victim at point-blank range. No. Wrong. So wrong. Kazuma. Since no tangible evidence exists to disprove the prosecution's claim at this time, the defense's deductions amount to little more than an elaborate fairy tale. My job is providing reasonable doubt. God damn it. Well, I'm afraid that's how the logical reasoning the British are known for really works, young stripling. Well, fuck that. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly? I'm afraid it's the prosecution's claim that's the only fairy tale here. Oh, shit! How can you say that? Well, quite simply. Because the claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. Very tantalizing, counsel. I think you had better explain yourself to the court, don't you? The prosecution claims that Inspector Gregson died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. But this evidence clearly contradicts that claim. Okay, here we go. He didn't die instantly. How am I to disprove this? That wasn't his handprint. Well, model of a British policeman found at the scene. Key pop up from the base. The red wig. Where's the photo of the victim? A photograph of the victim, Inspector Gregson. His body appears to be tightly curled up, and there's a hairpiece on his head. Is it the curling up of his body that we would say is the suspicious activity? Because if he died instantly, he wouldn't have curled up? That sounds a little bit silly, but I mean, literally, what the fuck else could it possibly be, right? You're not disproving the instant part, you're proving where the victim was killed. What? The prosecution claims that died instantly when he was shot at the scene on Fresno Street. Metal trunk with the blood on it. Metal trunk with blood on it. And it's not here. Well, it was removed from the scene by Gina. Or no, it was removed, but Gina got it back. We never really looked at this thoroughly all the way through. Kuruma, the Great Blade, it's such a thing of beauty. I want to gaze on it for hours. Right. And then we were gonna look at the tip. The tip of the Great Sword is broken. Yeah, we knew that. It's a shame it's been so meticulously cared for over the years. All of this kind of came up yesterday, though. So I don't know that we'd get anything new out of this. No. Iris's Lucky Charm. Clint's autopsy report. Passport. Inspector Gregson's metal traveling trunk that was removed from the scene. I want to say it might be the Asogi papers, commemorative photograph, inspector's identification, Gregson's pocket watch, blah, 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 victim, photo of the victim, the red wig. I don't know that the red wig means anything. The Venus firecrackers, the freestanding notice board, completely ironed. There's a bloody handprint on the back. Crime scene. A plan on the small room of the building. A foot on Fresno Street. The autopsy report. Inspector Bergson's body. Can I look at this again? Tobias Gregson. Time of death. Indeterminate. Evidence suggests measures may have been taken to disguise the time of death. Victim was shot at the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks at point of entry. The bullet exited the body from behind. That's not helpful. Shot in the chest at close range from the front, resulting in instant death. Wait, why is my history so backed up? Oh, because I examined, right. That claim directly contradicts a certain piece of evidence in our possession. The prosecution's claim, that's the only fairy tale here. The victim was shot in that little room on Fresno Street and died instantly. That contradicts something. Is it... We disproved in the... So we proved that this was a trick with like a fire candle or whatever, so... Is it that there's no bullet? The murder weapon that was found at the crime scene, probably best to avoid handling it. The revolver. Can I look at this again? This is the type of revolver that's a standard issue for members of the judiciary. Past 5 years, they've been engraved with a unique serial number. As far as I can tell, there's nothing like that on this gun. This gun must have been issued longer ago than that. Okay. There's something. Is that the only thing notable about the gun? Get the fuck. I've always wondered what the underside of a hairpiece looks like. I might have to take an L once and see if the game gives me a little hint. I mean, this evidence clearly contradicts the claim that he was shot and killed instantly in the room on Fresno Street. Would it possibly be the fire? Because one thing we proved, like, that we spent a hell of a lot of time proving was that the gunshot that everyone thought they heard wasn't actually a gunshot. So my thing was, isn't there, like, not evidence of, like, a bullet being fired in the apartment? So could I say a lack of evidence of a gun being fired in the room on Fresno Street? Would that be what I'm looking for here? It's like, because that would be like trying to show evidence that shows an absence of evidence, which is weird. So that's why I think that that's not right. But if it's not that, it's got to be somehow, some way Gregson's trunk. I feel like those are the only two things it could be. Oh, or... No, never mind. Not that. Completely covered in notes and articles. There's a bloody handprint on the backside. Right. And the bloody handprint was from some guy who ran into the room. So that's not a Gregson thing. Oh, so you enter the room. He gets shot here. Dies instantly. There's no evidence of a bullet It goes off like a gunshot. No, that sounds too weak. I don't think that's right. Let's throw the trunk and see what happens. I don't know. The Japanese really are a curious breed. Well, that was rude of you. Alright, I'm sorry. Perhaps my Japanese friend's inexplicable thinking is why people talk of the mystique of the East. Kazuma, don't support his horrible ideologies. Okay, fine. Okay. Was the victim killed in the room on Fresno Street, or was he moved there after already being dead? There's one piece of evidence we have that shows the answer to that question surprisingly clearly. Okay, new hypothesis is we're going back to the curling up thing, because we're saying died instantly. I said it couldn't be this because it's kind of silly, like, oh, he wouldn't have curled up. I mean, I don't know. I hear that sometimes that is the natural, like, you get shot, you curl, you die. Like, it seems plausible, but we did make a whole big deal about how you have to be curled up to fit inside of the suitcase. So this also looks like a person who could have been curled up in a suitcase and then dumped here. So I would believe that. I'm gonna throw the photograph.
Take that!
Oh, thank God. A photograph of the victim in every location you claim he wasn't killed. That was the first thing I said, by the way. You know when your teachers always say, don't second guess yourself, just go with your first answer? I'm always fucking second guessing myself. A photograph of the victim in the very location you claim he wasn't killed. Yep, that's what I'm presenting. The point here is the posture of the body itself. If Inspector Gregson had been shot there in that room, it's out of the question that his body would have been curled up like that in a ball. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but your logic is flawed. He could easily have adopted that fetal position due to the pain of the shot, which subsequently proved fatal. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Judge Jigoku, but it's your logic that's flawed. What? Well, according to this autopsy report, the victim died instantly, and he was shot at point-blank range. He would have felt no pain, much less have been able to draw himself into that position. Which begs the question of why the victim's body is curled up that way. Though the answer should be abundantly clear by now. You're suggesting... Oh, I am. The inspector's body took on that posture ahead of its arrival on Fresno Street, before it was coldly turned out on the floor from the inside of a large travel trunk. No!
You're quite right! The shape of the body! It looks exactly like it had been kept in a confined space!
Damn straight, Susato. Judge Jigoku, present your trunk for examination. I believe it's very possible that it will contain traces of the victim's blood. What you gonna do, big boy? Oh. Present my trunk? I refuse! What? On what grounds? I'm the Minister of Foreign Affairs from the Empire of Japan! I shouldn't have to put up with this treason just because some stripling's baseless accusations!
In other words, Judge Jigoku, there is blood in your trunk.
I decline to answer that. As the Minister of Foreign Affairs, I have privileges that... Oh, it's me. At this moment, you're not a government minister. You're a witness in a trial in Britain's highest court. I don't care who you are, or what your status outside of this courtroom might be. You will not withhold information. Nothing is more important than the truth. Ugh. Yeah, we got him on the ropes. Order in my court. Well, Mr. Jigoku, what's it to be? You can't be serious. You did it? Kazuma, I've been trying to help you this whole time. Have you no shame at all, Kazuma Asogi? What? Very well. I admit it. I did bring the inspector's body into the country. Inside my trunk, exactly as postulated by the defense. What? You... Dear God! Outrageous! So it was you! You admit to Inspector Gregson— Oh! No! I admit to nothing more than what I've said. Of killing the man, I certainly have no recollection. And what on earth is that cryptic statement supposed to mean? I merely disposed of the inspector's body, which was left in my cabin, in order to avoid unwanted attention. As the judicial assistant over there pointed out, I had no chance to throw it into the ocean. So, I decided my only option was to bring it into Britain with me and dispose of it somewhere else. You can't still deny it! If you didn't do it, then who on earth did kill him? As you know, there was one other person in my cabin that night. He had the opportunity. And moreover, he'd already accepted a mission to take the inspector's life.
Oh, God!
That's right! Who else could it have been? It was you! Kazuma Asogi! Well, Kazuma, you really laid your ducks in a row for this to go horribly wrong, but don't worry, I'm an ace attorney. You need someone to help you out, I won't even charge you. Oh, in monetary value, that is. This is falling apart quickly. I never thought you'd stoop to this, Shishiro Jigoku. Why not? He's clearly evil. You've taken the words straight out of my mouth, Prosecutor Kazuma Asogi. You thought by leaving the body in my cabin, you could pin the crime on me, did you? Well, the prosecution counsel has already admitted to visiting the witness's cabin on the night in question. Yes, on an assassination mission no less. You wouldn't. So, what do you make of that, young stripling? You've heard my testimony now, and that's all I have to say on the matter. I'll admit to nothing more.
I don't believe any of this.
Counsel for the defense, what is your position now? The court awaits your response to the witness's assertion. The assertion that on the night in question, the victim's assailant was in fact Mr. Kazuma Asogi. This isn't the dead end that it seems to be. The answer's gotta be right in front of me. It comes down to Jigoku or Kazuma. Both of them had the opportunity to kill Gregson, but only one of them did it. And I'm just one step away of proving who. Okay, very well. The defense is ready to respond to the assertion put forward by Judge Jigoku. The idea that the victim's murder could have been committed by Prosecutor Asogi is... well... Okay. I'm not saying he did it. Let's be super clear. I'm about to propose it's possible, which I think, if we run through the possibility, it gives me the chance to get more testimony that could maybe disprove these things. I don't think I have evidence to completely exonerate Kazuma, not without him giving me more testimony or more evidence. So, this wouldn't be our first time as an ace attorney, as a professional lawyer, where I make the people who I'm trying to defend look a lot more guilty before I turn around and then save their guts. So, I think we're gonna be okay. I think. He's also been being real fucking mean to me most of this trial. Well, it's possible, my lord. What? How could you? You gotta trust me. I love you. I got your back on this. Trust me. Do you think I want to believe it? But the fact is, I can't say with complete certainty what actually happened because I wasn't there. You disappoint me, Ryunosuke.
If I may, Mr. Naruhodo. Oh, God. I think perhaps that's why we form opinions based on evidence.
I haven't formed an opinion yet. I'm only suggesting it's possible. So true. And actually, We have evidence that can settle this argument conclusively. Did I fuck up? No. Wait. The defense would like to present evidence before you... What? Counsel... What? Oh, I was... Nope. Objection. We need to do a time rewind. I didn't realize I was throwing my boyfriend under the... That cannot be the canonical universe we live in. I'm not living in a canonical universe where I threw my boyfriend under the bus. I thought... Oh, fuck my life. No, because then we're never going to be in love after that. I thought I was going to hurt before I helped. I thought we were just going to get more testimony. I didn't know the consequences of my actions. No, it's impossible. He's my boyfriend and I love him to death. Judge Jigoku, let me remind you of something you said only a few moments ago. You claim that logical reasoning is the future of the judicial process. Kazuma, I would never, ever even entertain the possibility that it could have been you. Not even for more testimony. I'm gonna nip this in the bud right now. Well, logical reasoning can prove something here. Namely, that it would have been impossible for Prosecutor Asogi to commit the crime. What? Ryunosuke? That's right, I'm gonna save your ass. The court will only accept an argument that is supported by compelling evidence. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that allegedly demonstrates the impossibility of Prosecutor Asogi's involvement? That's a great question. The only thing I have that seems related to him is his sword. I don't know how that relates, but, I'd be willing to throw out his sword. My boyfriend's shaft is the key to this mystery. Presumably. Because, obviously, he was framed, and the box, and he slashed the box, and it was removed from the scene, and his sword, and the tip was broken in the box. Something about a box. I don't know. I don't really see how anything else really relates to him other than his sword, to be totally honest. So I'm gonna throw out his sword. This is my Kazuma thing. Here's my Kazuma thing. Let me clear his name. You're making the evidence weep here, Ryunosuke Naruhodo. I just wanted everyone to look at your shaft. Every piece of evidence has a role to play in arriving at the truth. They're not plain things you can toss around in the courtroom for entertainment. Oh, wow, that was really targeted against me. Okay, damn! Shit! Sorry!
Never mind the evidence. You're about to make me weep, Mr. Naruhodo.
Oh, God, well, I can't upset Susato-san. Let me run this by you again. We know a member of the crew was on sentry duty outside the first-class cabins nearly all the time. So as long as the guard was there, it would have been impossible to fire a shot without it being heard. And that very much narrows down to when the crime could have been committed. Okay, I'm following. Okay. So present what you have, counsel. What proof is there that demonstrates the impossibility of his involvement? Well, there's this. So the only time that it could have happened was at this time. A notice about the practice evacuation the night before the ship arrived in Dover. The drill will take 20 minutes. But how does that exonerate Kazuma? Was Kazuma, like, already off the ship at this time? Or... That is what he testified. Actually, that is what he testified to, isn't it? Didn't he say he left the ship early and he left just those men on there? I think. I don't know. Throw the evacuation drill. See what happens. This itinerary for crew members of the SS Grouse, my lord. This is conclusive proof. An itinerary? How does that prove anything? Judge Jigoku, the moment you acknowledge that you found the victim's body in your cabin, this itinerary suddenly became much more significant. Why? On the night in question, as always, a crewman sentry was on guard outside your cabin door. As long as he was there, nobody could have fired a shot inside of the cabin. Absolutely, because it's inconceivable that the guard wouldn't have heard it and come in to investigate. So that tells us that the crime must have taken place when the guard was elsewhere. And that narrows it down to the 20 minutes just after 10 o'clock as indicated on the itinerary. Yes, I see no flaw in your reasoning so far. But the crucial point here is this. When the evacuation drill took place, the steamship had already put to sea from the port of Dunkirk. Yeah, he was already off the boat. Now, clearly the murder could only have been committed by someone who was still aboard the vessel at that time. But Prosecutor Asogi stated in yesterday's proceedings, I didn't come to Great Britain to take anyone's life, so I left Gregson and disembarked the ship. I spent that night at a boarding house in the town and returned to England the following morning. Which I'm sure the court will agree is conclusive proof that Kazuma Asogi couldn't possibly have carried out the killing. Ugh! Whew. I got you, boyfriend. No! Absolutely not! I don't accept that! Well, that's too damn bad, because I think you have to. What do you mean? The boy's just saying that to exonerate himself. We can't trust that he really disembarked the vessel. Obviously, after he left my cabin, he hid himself somewhere nearby on the ship. Well, he said he has documentation by the townhouse. He was just waiting for his chance to come back and... Oh. That's quite out of the question, my dear. Isn't it, Kazuma? As the defense rightly recalls, I disembarked the vessel and spent the night in a boarding house in Dunkirk. And as I said yesterday, I signed my name in the accommodations register book. All extremely easy to verify and undeniable proof. No! You can't forget that you're a judge or a government minister. It's time you gave the court an honest answer, as a common man. Is he gonna freak out? Is he gonna freak out? You killed Inspector Tobias Gregson and transported his corpse back to Britain. Then you dumped the body in the room on Fresno Street and made it look as if the murder happened there. That's what really had happened, isn't it? Shigeru Saishiro Jigoku? It was that damned trial 10 years ago. That's when all of this began. Oh. Looking back now, my fate was decided that day. I was doomed already. Ah! Oh, my goodness. You're gonna have to pay for that. It's over! My life is over. Well, I mean, your free life is... Oh, backstory? Okay, Jesus. A British assassin to eliminate a professor in Japan. A Japanese assassin to eliminate a detective in Britain. Both assassins will use diplomatic immunity to evade conviction and return safely to their homelands. The assassin exchange request arrived from Britain about 1 year ago. Though it was hardly a request, it was a demand. And for that, you decided to recruit Mr. Asogi. But things don't go according to plan. Your chosen assassin never made it to Britain, and you found yourself unable to dispatch a replacement, because I was already on my way to Britain at that time in Kazuma's place. And that left me with only one option for carrying out my obligation. To eliminate the mark myself, personally. Of course, there was but a single opportunity for me to do that. The International Forensic Science Symposium, I presume? That's right. I decided it would be safest to carry out the plan before my arrival in Britain. So I enlisted the help of my British counterpart. And made arrangements for a pretext that would take the inspector to Dunkirk. To lure the man in, he was given a sham mission by the Reaper. What? A sham? But there's only one person who could have done that. The mastermind of the entire operation, the Reaper himself. So,
that means that the assassin exchange was planned by the Reaper? Oh, fuck.
I'm not at liberty to say anything about my British counterpart. Anyway, The inspector accepted the Reaper's mission and dutifully infiltrated my cabin on the steamship. But it was all a trap designed to lead him to France at his own death.
Oh my god, how awful.
It was past 9 o'clock when I returned to my cabin from the dining hall that evening. I didn't give him time to attack me. I choked him until he lost consciousness. But there was a guard just outside the door, so I left it at that for the time being. Even the slightest noise might have aroused suspicion, so I bided my time waiting. For the 20 minutes after 10 o'clock, I had intended to finish him by strangulation, but moments before I had the chance, he suddenly came round and went for me in a reckless move. I'd received the British issue gun 16 years earlier, being a member of the judiciary as a visiting student. I never imagined I'd have to use it for something like that. So the revolver belongs to you, does it?
Then the victim was killed inside your cabin on the SS Grouse, which begs the question of why you arranged for his body to be discovered in the room on Fresno Street.
The young judicial assistant over there has already answered that question. There was no way I could take the body up on deck to throw it over the side. That's precisely where all the crewmen were gathered for the evacuation drill. So before the first-class cabin sentries returned, I took the corpse to the refrigeration room.
And then on arriving in Dover, you concealed the body in your trunk in order to smuggle it past the border police.
I knew I needed to take steps if the police were to be convinced when the body was found in London.
In that case, you must have known. You must have had intimate details of Inspector Gregson's intend schedule.
Yes, my British counterpart sent me everything I needed to know. The inspector was due at Fresno Street at 5 o'clock that afternoon, in order to meet a man by the name of Hugh Boone, from whom he would take back his police identification.
Oh.
I decided that man would be the perfect person to set up as the culprit. So I took hackney carriage over there with the body still in my trunk.
That must have been just after we took this photograph with you at the hotel then.
No wonder he looked so fucking miserable. Yes, I wasn't expecting a welcoming committee. I was more than a little nervous. On Fresno Street, I spotted a young girl selling little firecrackers.
Miss Venus, of course.
I conceived of the candle trick there and then, so I donned a simple disguise and approached the girl to buy enough firecrackers to replicate a gunshot.
What sort of disguise?
For some reason, the inspector had a bright red hairpiece in his own traveling case. So I put that on, although I suspect I drew more attention to myself than I would have otherwise.
The hairpiece that we found at the scene! The inspector had it ready for the Red-Headed League investigation.
I only arrived at that room at around 4:45, so I quickly placed the body on the floor, moved the notice board, and set up my little candle trick. I arranged it so the firecrackers would go off with a bang around 15 minutes later, so that Mr. Boone, who was due to arrive at 5, would walk straight into a trap. Except, at the last moment, I made a careless blunder.
What was that? I imagine it was the bag of fish and chips.
Oh, right! I didn't notice that it had fallen out of his overcoat pocket when I moved the body to the refrigeration room. I put it back into his pocket the following morning, but... well, it seems the warmth of the heated cabin had accelerated the decay of the fish.
Damn.
Anyway, that's everything. All the sordid details of what I did.
So how's he allowed to not tell us who his co-conspirator is? This is crazy!
I've heard enough. We've arrived at the truth about the murder of one of the country's most capable and respected police inspectors. The witness will be tried in the coming days. For a crime of such vile natures, you can expect the most severe penalty.
Is that death? An exchange of assassins. What a foolhardy idea.
Mr. Jigoku, one last detail. Who was your counterpart in Britain? Who was the mastermind behind the assassin exchange? And nothing you say now could make matters any worse for you. You might as well tell us. Enough! Why would you keep come on, bring him down with you. Don't go down alone. What, are you in love with this person? I've already told you I cannot say. What does he have on you? What's the consequence? How are you being blackmailed? Who's kidnapped? Even though, as things stand, you may very well never set foot in your homeland again. What are you waiting for? Can't we get this over with now? It's finished. All of it. That's not true. I'm finished. Then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I now pronounce the findings of this court. This man before us has admitted to the willful murder of Tobias Gregson. But we aren't done here. Shishiro Jigoku, it is the opinion of this court that you should be found. I mean, I agree, yes, fine. And may I remind all those present of the strict confidentiality demanded by this closed court. Objection? Hold it? No? Moments ago, Mr. Jigoku signed a written confession, admitting to the murder of Inspector Gregson and the subsequent conveyance of the body. In short, the defendant's innocence has therefore been established beyond doubt. Hooray! Whew. Oh, Kazuma, you went so hard against him.
Oh, wonderful! Well done, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, thank you, that's great and all.
Is something wrong?
Well, a little. I'm just a little troubled is all. By Kazuma's silence, too, among other things. The true identity of the Reaper of the Bailey and this extraordinary assassin exchange, we do remain in the dark about these mysteries. However, insofar as the indictment brought against the defendant in this trial, we have reached a conclusion. I have every intention of pursuing both mysteries. As a prosecutor. As you wish. Now for the formal adjudication. I hereby declare the defendant Barrick von Zeeks.
Objection!
Oh, here we go. God forbid my man gets a not guilty. Kazuma. The prosecution calls for adjudication to be deferred. Counsel. The accused's innocence hasn't been fully established at all. And therefore, it would be wrong to deliver a verdict at this time. That is the prosecution's unwavering position.
What? But Judge Jigoku already confessed!
Nevertheless, Barrick von Zeeks has committed crimes for which he must be punished. Well, it would appear you have information that the court needs to hear, Prosecutor Asogi. Oh, certainly. The murder of Inspector Gregson was actually carried out by Shishiro Jigoku. But it's clear from the witness's testimony that he was coerced into complying with the plot, into this sick, merciless assassin's exchange. Well, yeah, that's true, but... So what I want to know is, who coerced Jigoku? Who was the one pulling the strings? The victim went to France having been ordered on a mission for the Reaper, only to wind up murdered. In other words, the mastermind behind the assassin exchange is someone in a position to give such an order. As we've already established, the Reaper himself. Well, certainly that would appear to follow. The prosecution hereby formally accuses the man in the dock, Barrick von Zeeks, of being the Reaper of the Bailey, and furthermore, I'm going to prove his guilt beyond all reasonable doubt. Oh, for fuck's sake, do we get a break? Order, order, order. The Reaper of the Bailey is a long-standing mystery, Council. Are you suggesting you have some new information with which to build a case?
Scotland Yard has already investigated Lord Von Zieks very thoroughly in that regard, and they found no evidence whatsoever to substantiate the claim that he was the Reaper.
Perhaps, but circumstances have now changed. What circumstances? It's already been established that the Assassin Exchange was negotiated by with Jigoku by the Reaper himself, which means we now have a new line of questioning by which to identify the definitively man's identities. What? What? Huh? And that is the prosecution's intention here. I must say I'm surprised by quite how tenaciously you appear to want to besmirch my name. You're guilty of an unforgivable crime, Lord Von Zieks. And I will bring you to justice for it, no matter what it takes. The end justifies the means. Well, that explains Kazuma's silence before. He'll stop at nothing to finish what Lord Von Zieks unwittingly started 10 years ago. Very well. Whilst it's extremely irregular, I will, on this occasion, grant the prosecution further opportunity for witness testimony. The defendant will disclose any and all involvement he has had with the Reaper and the Assassin Exchange. Oh, my Christ. I thank you, my lord, for guiding the court so wisely. I hereby declare this court to be in session for a supplementary hearing. My goodness gracious, am I getting paid overtime for this? Oh, sweetheart, not now. This is not a good look for us. Pray, turn a blind eye to the discourtesy as I verify that this vile and unremitting accusation hasn't soured the contents of my hallowed chalice. My God, Jesus fucking Christ. Honey, the LGBTQ is not ready for you. Lord Von Zieks! I first had to suffer the pseudonym of the Reaper 10 years ago now. And ever since that time, I've endured the weight of the implied guilt that's gone with it. Oh. So I welcome the chance to testify now and crush those allegations once and for all. Good. Then let justice decide, Lord Von Zieks. The prosecution seeks to begin building its case by calling the accused to the stand as the primary witness, in order that he may answer the accusation brought by the prosecution that he is the Reaper of the Bailey. And what says the defense?
Putting the defendant in the witness stand can be extremely dangerous, Mr. Naruhodo. And Kazuma-sama is so emotional at the moment. He's not thinking logically.
Such is the plight of men. You're right, he's definitely not himself. But I knew it would be like this, and I came here today determined to face him through whatever might arise, as a lawyer, and as his lover.
Then that's what we must do.
Okay. The defense has no objection, my lord. Very well. Defendant, you will take the witness stand, and give formal testimony on the subject of your involvement with the Reaper and the Assassin Exchange. As you wish, my lord. Oh, for fuck's sake. Oh, and it's just starting. Okay, well. Well. It may just be starting, but we're not. We need a break. I think. Okay. That's what we're gonna call it. Guys, I spoiled you today. We went for an hour and 45 minutes today. An hour and 50 minutes, actually. Almost 2 hours today. But it took till the end of the second game, but I finally got fully invested. So, like, I just felt compelled to keep going. But I do have to stop now. So, if you guys could please leave a like on the stream, the engagement is helpful, and I thank you for your patronage and your support of me being an ace detective and attorney. And I will be back, tomorrow's Thursday, right? Tomorrow's Thursday. Tomorrow, 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Let's continue this. How much more could there possibly be? Are we close to... Are we going to finish tomorrow? Are we not going to finish tomorrow? Is it going to go into next week? No spoilers, ever spoilers. But if you have some concept of how much more we have left, is this the final thing we're resolving, or is this opening a whole new can of worms? I don't even fucking know. It's so hard. I'll be here tomorrow. We're gonna stream. We're gonna see how far we get. All right. Until then, boys. Toodles.